Hey everybody, the question for today is asbestos removal safe? Well, in a word, depends. Check it out. Welcome to the HazMat podcast, episode number 41. And today's question is, can asbestos removal be safe? And the reason I mention it depends is inherently asbestos is bloody dangerous and it needs to be dealt with the right way and by people that know what they're doing. So here in New Zealand and most of the developed world, there's some strict legal obligations to have to follow to make sure that you're doing it correctly and to ensure that you're safe. So I just wanted to talk about, compared to a novice who turns up to pull their old shed down with a paper mask and, a roll of duct tape and a plastic bag, why it's better to use the professionals and make sure you're using licensed removalists. So there's a couple of things that we do during removals to really increase the safety for everybody. So number one is the removal processes themselves. There's a couple of tricks like when prying up sheets of material, having somebody else there with a HEPA vacuum doing what they call shadow vacuum, which is holding the vacuum right up to the removal area so that any dust that is generated is getting sucked up and that stuff is out of there and in a safe place, the vac bag. The other thing is dust suppression. So usually water is probably the best technique. There can be other agents used as well, but essentially wetting the area and keeping the area constantly wet is something we do to again eliminate the dust, because that is where the hazard is, as we've talked about on other podcast episodes. Where we can, we'll use shrouded machines if we need to. So again, with the shroud, you're protecting the dust from getting out into the atmosphere and potentially being breathed in. The other thing is sometimes rather than remove asbestos, it might be better to just remove the whole thing. So for example, if you've got an old night store heater with a asbestos panel in the back of it, maybe you don't even need to remove it. Maybe you throw out the whole heater in one go as asbestos waste. Therefore, you're eliminating any risk. So why the professionals? There are several different techniques. That's just a few that we utilise to make sure the removal is as safe as possible. The next thing is our decontamination procedures. So if you're not in the game and you don't know, you could potentially get covered in this stuff and then go spread it around your family or your vehicle or people that you walk past, whatever it might be. So we have trained procedures for decontaminating ourselves and our tools once we've finished working. So therefore, we're not going to be spreading that stuff around. A lot of the equipment that we use has to be cleaned in a specific manner, and also the actual protective gear that we're using, most of it is disposable, so that we can roll it up and biff it as asbestos waste without having to worry about trying to clean it, in the washing machine or what have you. A couple other things that we do at a professional level is all of our removalists have to undergo health monitoring, and so therefore a regular period of having their lungs checked, lung function test they call it, which is essentially blowing through a tube and measuring the amount blown, exhaled, and this is done every couple of years. And the reason why is it can detect over every 2 years they go and have it done, they can check the readings. Are they the same, or is there a dramatic drop in their lung function? Because that can then prompt further investigation to see if they may be subject to a respiratory illness. The other thing is the actual masks or RPE that we wear when doing removals. they actually have to be what they call face fitted to make sure that the seal is actually doing its job. And so that is you're subject to a test where they hook up a machine to the mask, get you to move your head around, get you to talk, get you to breathe normally, nod, shake your head, all the kind of things you do in the real world. And they need to make sure that that mask is properly sealed. So that has to be done every year, unless you have some kind of change to your facial shape, like a weight loss or an injury or a weight gain. But anyway, so wrapping up, asbestos removal in itself is not particularly safe, but there's certainly things that the professionals do to make sure it's as safe as possible. And I guess it goes like any trade, there's inherent risks that have to be managed when you're doing your job. So there's a little bit of insight into that one. We will see you again next week with another episode of the HazMat podcast. Thanks for watching.